Those defective Toyotas were topic A on Capitol Hill today as Congress investigates what the company knew about the problems and when. The president of Toyota's U.S. operations got a grilling, but first, members heard from a victim of a runaway Lexus. We have two reports tonight, beginning with Dean Reynolds. And Dean, there's growing confusion about what's really causing these sudden acceleration problems. Sticky accelerators, floor mats, electronics. Are we any closer to an answer?
You know, I don't think so, Katie. Toyota's top U.S. salesman never did say exactly what he thinks is causing the problem, and the best he could do was to promise that the company will continue to study the issue.
Preceded by armed Capitol Hill police officers, Toyota executive Jim Lentz took a seat in the committee room today, but nothing could protect him from Rhonda Smith.
Shame on you, Toyota, for being so greedy.
Mrs. Smith told the committee of the night in 2006 when her new Lexus ran away with her and how nothing seemed to slow it down, not standing on the brakes or throwing it into reverse.
I called my husband on the Bluetooth phone system. I'm sorry. I knew he could not help me, but I wanted to hear his voice one more time.
She finally brought the car to a halt after 6 miles, saved, she said, by God. Under oath, Lentz spoke the painful truth.
Listening to Mrs. Smith, I'm embarrassed for what happened.
Much of Lentz's answers dealt with sudden unintended acceleration. The malfunction Toyota has insisted is caused by sticking gas pedals or bunched floor mats, which have prompted recalls of 8 million of its cars. Toyota's problematic brakes and steering were almost afterthoughts. Today, Lentz was asked if he believes Toyota's repairs will fix the acceleration issue. But his answer was less than heartening.
Not totally. We have to fix the process so these things don't happen again. I don't know what's behind the curtain.
Question after question dealt with what many suspect could be the real cause.
Analyze the electronic system.
Whether or not the electronics are the problem. The electronic throttle control system.
To all of it, Lentz insisted the electronics are not to blame, even in the face of testimony from one witness who said Toyota's electronic throttle is different than other cars and that in 3.5 hours of testing, he'd shown their fail-safe systems can fail. At the end of the day, though, Lentz said Toyota will keep reviewing all possible causes. A good thing, said one congressman.
It really doesn't matter that you've got 5 million vehicles that are performing flawlessly if you've got 10 that have failed.
Federal regulators also came in for criticism from those who say they did not keep their eyes on Toyota. But all of this today really tees up tomorrow's testimony by the company and the head of it, Mr. Toyota himself. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Washington.
This is Nancy Cordes. When Toyota's executives arrived on Capitol Hill today, they weren't exactly walking into enemy territory. They've spent years courting the very congressmen who are now charged with investigating them. Over the past decade, Toyota has made contributions to 40 of the 125 members who sit on the 3 relevant committees, a total of $135,000 in campaign cash. In the past 5 years, Toyota has spent $25 million lobbying the federal government, far more than its foreign rivals Honda and Nissan, though that figure pales in comparison to what U.S. automaker GM spent, a staggering $53.1 million over the same period.
This is it. This is the game that is played in Washington, unfortunately, and this is exactly how it's played. But the bottom line is the money has an effect on your judgment. It influences you. It just does.
West Virginia's Jay Rockefeller, who heads the Senate investigation, once joked that he should be considered a member of Toyota's site selection team after convincing the car maker to build a plant in his state. And then there are the members who own Toyota stock, anywhere from a few $100s worth, like Congressman Michael Burgess of Texas, to upwards of $100,000 worth in the case of California's Jane Harmon. Despite all that money, Congressman Darrell Issa insists Toyota won't get off easy.
Well, you know, Bill Gates gives me money, but it doesn't make me a Microsoft apologist.
Issa has been one of the most aggressive backers of the investigation, even though the Viper anti-theft devices he manufactured before coming to Congress were installed in thousands of Toyotas, among other vehicles.
What you have to do in this town is you have to not look at the contributions you get and look at the job you have.
Congressional ethics laws don't require members to recuse themselves when they have a financial interest. Besides, if every member tried to avoid dealing with a company that he or she got a contribution from, work here on Capitol Hill would grind to a halt, Katie.
And Nancy, meanwhile, what could Congress actually do to Toyota?
Truthfully, not very much, other than publicly shame them into doing the right thing with hearings like the one that you saw today. Where Congress does have more power is with the government agency that is responsible for investigating auto problems like this one, NHTSA. The members could decide that the agency doesn't have enough funding, doesn't have enough resources, and could decide to up its budget. Or they could decide to withhold funds and threaten to do that if the agency doesn't do a better job with its investigations, Katie.
All right. Nancy Cordes on Capitol Hill tonight. Nancy, thank you.